Hey guys, how are you? It's Chris here from Studio Ninja. Hope you're well. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about lead sources, specifically the lead source graph on the dashboard, how to set up your lead sources and the different options available there, and how to allocate your lead sources to different leads and jobs, either manually or automatically using our contact form or questionnaire builder. Cool, let's get started. We'll begin by talking about the lead sources graph on the dashboard. Here you can see a pie chart displaying all the lead sources that we have in the system. By hovering over any section, you'll see the lead source name, a percentage breakdown. So you can see, for example, that leads coming from Facebook make up 33% of all the leads in the system and is by far the most popular. And finally, how many times each lead source has been used. This graph displays your top 12 lead sources. If you have created more than 12 lead sources, a new section will appear called the rest, meaning that your 12th, 13th, 14th, and so on lead sources will be pulled together into that category. We also have a section called Show All. By clicking this button, a lightbox will appear displaying all the lead sources that you have in the system, plus some additional information and functionality. Again, talking about Facebook, you can see if the lead source is active or not, which I'll teach you about in the settings section. A breakdown of how many leads compared to accepted jobs have come from Facebook, the total number and percentage. So we know there is a total of 9 leads and jobs in the system that have come from Facebook, and it makes up 33% of the total. And lastly, the conversion rate. Here we can see that 55.6% of leads that came from Facebook have converted into jobs, which is a really nice statistic to know. We can also filter this list down by different job types, for example, portraits. Now we can see that there are only 2 lead sources that apply when talking about portraits. If you would like to see details based on a specific date range, you can adjust that here. And finally, you can export this data to an Excel spreadsheet or CSV file by clicking here. All right, great. So let's move on to settings. Welcome to the lead sources setting. You would come here to either add new lead sources, edit your existing lead sources, archive your lead sources, and finally, delete any of your lead sources. So let's go through each option. Firstly, let's add a new lead source. We'll call this one Wedding Expo 2020, assuming we have a Wedding Expo coming up and I would like to track the leads that come from that expo. We'll give it a nice lavender color and we're done. Save. Now we can see our newly created lead source here. You can also edit a lead source if you would like to change the name or the color of it. So let's actually change this from Wedding Expo to Bridal Expo 2020. And I'm still very happy with lavender, so let's leave that and click Save. Okay, we also have this archive feature. If you scroll down, you'll see an archived section down here. Whenever you archive a lead source, it will appear here, like this. Simply click Unarchive to unarchive it, and it'll put it back in the list at the top. We created this functionality to help you keep your lead sources list clean and tidy and up to date. If a lead source is active, it means it can be assigned to a lead or job. If it is archived, it means it will no longer appear as an available option in the list when choosing a lead source for a new lead or job. Here's an example of why we would want to archive a lead. Let's say we've zapped ourselves into the future and it's now 2022. We have done several wedding expos and other events, and our list of lead sources is growing. It's getting quite big and long. Now that it's 2022, it's very unlikely that I would still be getting leads from that original Wedding Expo 2020. I definitely want to keep the data, but I don't want to see it in the list anymore because I just have too many lead sources in that list. So I'm simply going to archive it, and it's no longer going to appear in that list. Done. Too easy. Now let's talk about deleting a lead source. This one requires a little bit more explanation. For example, if we want to delete the Facebook lead source, it's a little tricky because there is a total of 10 leads and jobs that have this Facebook lead source attached to it. So what happens to these 10 leads or jobs? We can do one of 2 things here. We can either remove the lead source altogether from those 10 leads or jobs by selecting None from the dropdown. So essentially, they will no longer have any lead source. Or we can migrate those 10 leads and jobs to a new lead source, for example, social media. So now all my existing Facebook lead sources will now get migrated over to social media. Once you have decided what you want to do, type the word delete to confirm your decision and then click delete permanently, and that will delete the lead source altogether. Okay, that sums up the settings. Now let's go and assign a lead source to a new lead. We'll start by doing this manually. So let's just say I've received a new lead from Instagram and I would like to add this bride or groom or whoever in as a new lead. I would click on the plus icon on the dashboard within the leads box and start the process. Let's click on add new client. And in this scenario, it will be me. So first name is Chris. The email address is chris@studioninja.co. And that's all I need for now, so click save. We will call this sample lead Chris and Lucy's wedding. The job type will be wedding. The workflow will be the sample wedding workflow. And here we can see the lead sources. We'll click on the drop down and select Instagram from the list. Just remember, if you have archived a lead source, it won't appear here anymore. So if you'd like to keep this list neat and tidy, archive any leads that you no longer need access to. All right, let's fill in the rest of the details. Awesome, looks good, and click Save Lead. Okay, great. So now from the lead profile page, we can see that Chris and Lucy's wedding has come from Instagram. This was one way to do it manually, but we can also do it automatically and actually let our clients choose the lead source. There are two ways to do this, either via the contact form or the questionnaire. So let's talk about that next. First up, let's discuss questionnaires. Let's head over to Settings, Questionnaires, and add the lead source drop-down to an existing questionnaire so that when a client is filling in their answers, they can choose how they heard about you, and that will automatically update inside the system. Great. Now we're going to add the lead source field by dropping and dragging it into position. And if we click Edit, we have a few other nice little options here too. You can change the label and placeholder text like with any other field, but here we have a few more options. You can also select which lead sources are available to choose from. So maybe we can turn this one off and turn that one off, and we can also rearrange them in any order that you like. We'll apply these changes and we're good to go. So let's see how this questionnaire works now. We'll head back over to the Leads tab and find Chris and Lucy's wedding. I'm just going to remove the existing lead source so that I can show you the questionnaire in action. Okay, done. Let's scroll down to questionnaires and send off a questionnaire. Once the client receives this email and clicks the link to the client portal, they will land here. Great. Here is our questionnaire, and here is the lead sources field with the options that we selected in the order that we arranged them. So let's click the drop down. We can choose Facebook from the list, and we can skip the rest, it's not important for now, and just click Submit at the bottom. Now, when we go back to Chris and Lucy's wedding, we can see that the lead source has automatically updated to Facebook. And the contact form works in exactly the same way. Here, let me show you. We'll head back over to Settings and click Contact Forms. Let's edit the sample contact form. And exactly like the questionnaire, we're going to drop and drag the lead source field into the contact form, edit any of the settings that you like, save everything, and bang, we're good to go. Now, if I take a look at my contact form, I can see the new lead source dropdown, and as soon as this form is filled out and submitted, a new lead will automatically appear in Studio Ninja with the correctly allocated lead source attached. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you need any help at all with lead sources, feel free to send us a message via our in-app chat by clicking here, and we're available 24 hours a day and will help you with whatever you need.